Something happened last night that nobody announced. No news alert, no emergency broadcast, no scientist held a press conference. But it happened anyway. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what it means, and why the fact that nobody is talking about it is the strangest part of all. Stay with me until the very end, because the reveal changes everything you think you know about the ground beneath your feet. Quick question before we start. Where are you watching this right now? Drop it in the comments. Seriously, it matters more than you think by the time this video is over. Now, picture the most precise clock ever built. A machine so accurate it would not gain or lose a single second across 300 million years. Not 300 years, 300 million. That clock is now disagreeing with the planet. Not by much, not in a way you would feel, but consistently, measurably, and the gap is growing. Something is changing about Earth itself. Not the weather, not the surface, something far deeper. Something that has not moved the way it is moving now in recorded human history. And 7 completely separate scientific instruments maintained by 7 completely separate research communities on 7 different kinds of missions are all picking up the same signal at the same time. That is where this story begins. Let's go back to the beginning, the real beginning. For 4 billion years, Earth has been doing one thing with remarkable consistency: slowing down, gradually, predictably. The moon's gravity pulls at the oceans like a brake on a wheel. Ancient coral fossils, 400 million years old, tell us a year once had more than 400 days. The days were shorter, the planet was faster. Then it slowed, over hundreds of millions of years. That deceleration is not a theory, it is written in stone. Then around 2016, something flipped. The planet started spinning faster. Not dramatically, you will never feel it stepping out of bed in the morning, but the atomic clocks caught it. Every year since 2016, scientists have been recording some of the shortest days in modern history. 2020 set a record. 2021 broke it. Then on June 29, 2022, Earth completed one full rotation 1.59 milliseconds early, the shortest day ever recorded since humans began measuring with atomic precision. 1.59 milliseconds. That sounds like nothing, and if Earth were just a spinning rock, it would be nothing. But Earth is not just a spinning rock, it is a system. A web of interconnected layers all synchronized to the rhythm of rotation. Change that rhythm even by a fraction of a millisecond, and the ripple moves through every layer above it. Here's what that actually means. GPS satellites, global financial markets, power grids, hospital systems. Every single one of those was engineered around a planet that behaved predictably. The engineers who built them never wrote down the assumption because it seemed too obvious to mention. The planet will keep rotating the way it always has. That assumption is now being tested. And the source of the disruption is not in the atmosphere. It is not in the oceans. It is not at the poles. It is somewhere no drill has ever reached, no instrument has ever physically touched. A place so extreme that any material humanity has ever engineered would be instantly destroyed. 5,100 kilometers directly below wherever you are sitting right now. Imagine drilling straight down. Not a real drill, just follow the idea. Through the crust, through the upper mantle where rock under pressure behaves less like stone and more like an impossibly slow fluid. Through the lower mantle, keep going. After about 2,900 kilometers, the rock ends completely. What starts instead is the outer core. Liquid iron and nickel at temperatures between 4,000 and 5,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than the visible surface of the sun. Completely liquid, flowing in massive convective currents in absolute darkness under pressures that would reduce any known material to powder. And it carries electrical charge. That flowing charged metal generates the magnetic field that wraps around the entire planet. The invisible shield that deflects the solar wind. Without it, the atmosphere would be stripped away. Without an atmosphere, no liquid water. Without liquid water, this planet looks nothing like it does today. The outer core is not a geological curiosity. It is one of the fundamental reasons life exists here. But here is the connection that changes everything. Deep inside that ocean of liquid iron, at the very center of the planet, there is a solid ball of iron roughly the size of the moon. Solid at 5,000 degrees. Solid only because the pressure of the entire planet pressing inward from every direction is so extreme that the heat alone cannot melt it. This inner core floats inside the outer core, and because there is no rigid material connecting it to the surface, it can rotate independently. For decades, scientists confirmed it was rotating slightly faster than the rest of the planet, about 1/3 of a degree per year ahead. Small, consistent, expected. Then, around 2009 to 2010, it started slowing down. By some measurements, it stopped relative to the surface entirely, and then it kept going. A study published in the journal Nature Geoscience in 2023 presented evidence that the inner core is now rotating slightly slower than the mantle above it, which in the frame of reference of the surface means it is turning in the opposite direction. The solid iron heart of the planet may be spinning the wrong way. Now here is the physics that connects that to your daily life. Angular momentum does not disappear. When the inner core decelerates, the momentum it was carrying does not vanish. It transfers outward, through the liquid outer core, through the mantle, through the crust, and it arrives at the surface as acceleration. The timeline fits. The inner core's slowdown in the early 2010s aligns with the coupling delay between layers with the surface speed-up that became measurable around 2016. Something changed at the center of the planet, and years later the surface felt it. But the core is not the only system that has moved. Greenland is losing approximately 280 billion tons of ice per year. Antarctica approximately 150 billion. Those are not estimates from climate models, they are direct measurements from satellites tracking gravitational changes over the poles with sub-micrometer precision. And here is the part that surprises almost everyone. When Greenland loses ice, sea levels near Greenland actually drop slightly. Because the ice sheet was so massive, its gravity was physically pulling ocean water toward it. When that mass decreases, the water relaxes outward. The coasts that pay a full price are the ones farthest away, the tropics, the Pacific Islands, South Asia. The actual geographic North Pole is also moving. Before the year 2000, it drifted slowly toward northern Canada at a few centimeters per year. Then the direction changed entirely. It turned eastward toward Greenland, and the speed jumped to approximately 17 centimeters per year. The axis of the planet has moved to a measurably different position than it held when most people alive today were born. And the magnetic field, the shield, has weakened by approximately 9% since the early 19th century. The South Atlantic anomaly, a large region above South America where the field is already 40% weaker than it should be, is expanding, it's deepening, and it may be splitting into two distinct weak zones. Satellites passing through it already have to power down sensitive instruments to survive the radiation. That is happening right now, routinely, as a scheduled operational precaution. 7 systems: core rotation, outer core circulation, surface speed up, Greenland ice loss, magnetic field intensity, Arctic ice sea level, Atlantic Ocean circulation strength. All 7 departed from their historical baselines in the same decade, centered on approximately 2010 to 2020.
So here is what was promised at the beginning. Something happened last night that nobody announced. Here it is. Earth completed another rotation slightly faster than the rotation it was designed around. The satellites overhead adjusted. The atomic clocks noted the deviation. The systems that depend on precise timing absorbed the gap using workarounds that engineers built specifically for this scenario, workarounds that were never tested against the scale of disruption that is now being modeled behind closed doors. That is what happened last night, and the night before, and every night since 2016. The planet is in transition, not catastrophically, not in a way that ends tomorrow or next year, but measurably, consistently, and across more systems simultaneously than at any point in recorded human history. The engineers who built GPS navigation did not design it for a planet whose rotation axis moves 17 centimeters per year in an unexpected direction. The architects of global financial infrastructure did not model a scenario where 1 second could be removed from the official record, where a timestamp of 23:59:59 would simply not exist. The power grid operators did not size their safety margins for sustained geomagnetic disruption at the scale of what the South Atlantic anomaly is currently producing and expanding toward. None of them were wrong to make those assumptions. The planet had been stable for 10,000 years. Everything civilization ever built was constructed inside that stability window. The safety margins were sized for the planet that existed, not the planet that is becoming. 3 competing scientific models currently describe what happens next. One says the inner core finds a new equilibrium within decades and the surface acceleration stabilizes. One says the acceleration tracks Arctic ice loss and continues as long as warming continues. One says the magnetic field is in the early stages of a transition that changes the electromagnetic coupling between the core and the crust in ways that are still unfolding. All 3 are published, all 3 have critics, none has been ruled out. What all 3 agree on is the same thing. The equilibrium this system finds at the far end of this transition will not be identical to the one it started from. The planet is not broken. It has survived full magnetic reversals, mass extinctions, complete glaciations. It will survive this. The geological record makes that clear. The question that does not yet have an answer is how fast the transition moves, and whether the systems built for a stable planet can adapt faster than the gap between their design assumptions and physical reality continues to grow. The instruments are running. The atomic clocks are ticking. The satellites are mapping the magnetic field in real time. The seismographs are listening to every earthquake for signals traveling through the iron core 5,000 kilometers down. And somewhere at the center of everything, in absolute darkness, under pressure no laboratory on Earth can replicate, at a temperature hotter than the surface of the sun, iron is flowing. The answer to where this leads is already written in the way it moves. We just have not finished reading it yet. If this made you think differently about the ground beneath your feet, share this with someone who would not expect it, and drop in the comments where you watched it from, because this story is happening everywhere, all at once, right now.